Nicole Huntsman here from moderncosmic.com. We have got our sun sign compatibility here on this video. If you know what sun sign means, fast forward to the timestamp you see or the description of the video. So in Western astrology, we take the year, the 12 calendar months, okay, and we divide them up according to the Earth's relationship to the sun. And this makes sense if you think back in the day when we were farmers. The movement of the sun, it's actually our movement, the tilt of our Earth relative to the sun and how it affects the seasons was very important. Springtime, time to plant, summertime to take care of and tend the fields, and of course fall time to harvest, and then winter was time to preserve the things that you had stored and make them last till spring again. Now, in astrology, we look at these 4 important dates that are repeatable, they happen every year, and they are the spring equinox, the summer solstice, the fall equinox, and the winter solstice, okay? We have our zodiac signs all set up according to these solar events. In the springtime, when we have our spring equinox, March 21st, this is that time of year when the equator of the Earth is facing the sun, directly, and the Earth is level, so to speak. So, we are on an axis and the Earth tilts. At this point in the year, we're level. That's why you can spin an egg and it will spin. Now, that's the beginning of the zodiac year, and really should be the beginning of our year. It would make sense to have the time when we go from winter, where we have more darkness than light, to the time when it's equal. We have an equal amount of daylight and equal amount of darkness, and then we move into the time of the year, the spring, when we have more light and less darkness each day, okay, until we hit the summer solstice, where we have the most light, more light, and less of the darkness. So with the zodiac, your sun sign falls during a month between those 4 events. So your sun sign is going to fall into one of these segments, okay? We've got the 12 months divided up into 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, according to those solar events. And then in each of those sections, we have 3 zodiac signs, okay? Your sun sign is important in that it shows your general life force. If you think of the sun is the star in our solar system. It is the mass, the giant mass, relative to us anyway, that is holding our solar system together. Without the sun, without our star, we wouldn't be here, and if something happened to our sun, we would all die, we would perish. We eat food that's made from the energy of the sun. We are literally made of sun, which is pretty cool. Someone's sun sign shows you the basic premise upon which their personality is built. It's like a canvas that we're going to paint upon. It doesn't have any paint on it yet, it's just the canvas. Is it wood? Is it metal? Is it canvas? Is it a panel? Is it round? Is it square? How big is it? How little is it? The zodiac sign will sort of illuminate, and it will explain and make granular sort of this very basic part of what we have to work with, okay, with the personality. So it's the first step in building, when you're looking at an astrology birth chart, it's the first thing you look at because you're going to build upon it, all right? And then all the brushstrokes come with the moon and all the angular houses and the planets and the aspects between the planets. That's when it becomes a beautiful picture. But until then, it's just you're one of the 12 zodiac signs. This is very general. Sun signs are general. It's a general vibe. You've got someone who's kind of more of a feeler, someone who's more of a thinker. But there are all different types of feelers and there are all different types of thinkers, okay? We get that granularity by looking at the entire birth chart and by putting the 2 people together, okay? You can have a feeler and a thinker get together and be really happy if they've got other things in their birth chart that make nice compatibility interaspects. If for some reason your sun signs don't get along well, let's say we've got someone who is, let's say we've got a Capricorn and an Aquarius, very different energies. Capricorn's conservative, Aquarius is an iconoclast and does their own thing. On the surface, sun sign wise, these 2 aren't going to jive perfectly. But if you look underneath, maybe they have moons that are both in water, and it gives them an emotional warmth, or it gives them an emotional depth to the cooler Capricorn Aquarius facade. There's another thing you want to look at between your compatibility charts. There are several, but another important primary planetary aspect that you want to look at, or planetary placement, I should say, that you want to look at. And I'm going to talk about this at the end of the video, so stay tuned, watch the compatibility, and at the very end I'll explain to you how to find If your sun compatibility isn't great, there's another thing you can look at that will indicate whether or not the two of you are going to have long-lasting happiness together, or if it's going to be sort of a no-win battle, okay? All right, let's get on to our sun signs, and please leave me comments if you have questions, and this is going to be a lot of fun. Taurus are the individuals born April 20th through May 20th. Now, this is the time of year, if you were to imagine we're back 2,000 years and we're farming, this is the time of year we would be planting. We'd be planting our seeds, at least here in the northern hemisphere, which is where this type of astrology comes from, Western astrology. Taurus is all about the possession. It's all about the five senses of our physical bodies and operating through this physical these three dimensions that we are here in. So Taurus, ruled by Venus, has to do with the sensual pleasures of the body, but also this idea that we can, as individual protagonists in our own story, possess things. So this is our money, this is our physical possessions, and this is also things more abstract, I suppose. Our self-esteem and our talents, the things that we possess inside of ourselves. Taurus sun signs are slower moving, predictable. They like things to unfold in a way where they know what to expect. And if you think about a farm and you think about planting seeds, you do them if you want to be productive with your farm. You plant them in rows and you do them a certain amount of space between each other, and you water them regularly, and there's a consistency there, okay? There's a routine and an earthy sort of habit that is followed in order to be productive. Have a concrete, practical way of thinking, or way of being rather, because this is a sun sign. With a Taurus, you do have someone who's somewhat stubborn. They have in their mind a plan for how they'd like things to unfold, and they'll get there when they're going to get there, and you can't push them and prod them, okay? Now also, Taurus being ruled by Venus, these individuals appreciate nice things. A lot of times someone who has strong Taurus in their chart, they either like luxury items, they're highly motivated by working hard and making money, or they enjoy the arts, music, whether it's creating it or just listening to it and enjoying it and being a patron of the arts and music. These are very Taurus, and Taurus loves food. Again, and sex. This is the body, being in a body, having a spirit in this human form where we get to experience the pleasures of what comes with this body. On the high side with Taurus, we have steadfast, loyal, determined, artistic, usually. Sometimes they're not artistic. Sometimes it comes out in other ways, like it comes out in the enjoyment of the arts or the enjoyment of food and these things I've talked about before, the five senses. They are understanding and affectionate. They're calm. They like peace and harmony in their relationships. Okay, this is Venusian. They're practical, sensual, passionate people. Their passion is different than the Aries passion. The passion of a Taurus is more slower moving and sensual, and it's more consistent. You know, Aries, the sign we did earlier, would just kind of flare up, whereas Taurus is going to come out slowly and sensually. Now, on the shadow side, or if you've got a low-functioning Taurus, you can have someone who's stubborn, who's materialistic, who's hedonistic. They are focused way too much on the outside and not on the inside. There's an unmovable nature to a shadow, low-functioning Taurus. They can be possessive, afraid of change. They have a really strong need for security, and so they're afraid to sort of break out from situations they know aren't best for them. So they can overstay bad relationships or bad situations at work, or just life situations, just be in the same career for years that they don't like, but it's the devil you know is safer than the devil you don't know. And they can be a little lazy and a little vain. That's our Venus. Now this is low functioning. Taurus in love. Taurus appreciates beauty, all right? Taurus sun signs, whether it's male or female, whatever their personal idea of beauty is, they will have, it's going to be high on their list of things that will matter to them. They need to be physically attracted to their partner. They are quite lusty and sensual, the sun sign. Once they have gotten to know someone, once they've decided that this is the one for them, they're affectionate, and the way they show their love is through they do enjoy giving their partner gifts, sharing things with them, but also really affection and sex. There's a possessiveness to a Taurus. They're on the axis of possession with a Scorpio as well. So they can at times be a little bit possessive, and they need to know that their partner is theirs. So they can have some issues with security and needing to feel safe and secure. Taurus expectations in love. Taurus types, Taurus Sun Signs, they're looking for security, and they're looking for a relationship that is grounded in reality. They wouldn't really be stoked about a relationship that was like based on the internet, you know, like a long distance relationship, unless you had a Taurus with a ton of Aquarius in their chart, and that's a whole other story. But for the most part, Taurus, pure Taurus sun sign, they like to have you there in their presence. They want someone to build a life with. They want harmony. They want to enjoy the daily pleasures with their partner. They like good food. They like a nice regular sex life. They like to dance in the kitchen while they're cooking dinner together. They just want simple, authentic, real love. Okay, that's their expectations, and they expect loyalty. So you give that to them, and you have got a happy bull. Now, Taurus's biggest fear, they worry about security. This is why you've got a sun sign that's so focused on making money or proving themselves through their ability to be successful or have control over their ability to create income. That's why it's underneath it is an insecurity, a worry that they will be without. So this includes the partner. They do have a fear of their partner leaving them. And so they need a partner that is consistent, steady, does what they say they're going to do, shows up when they're supposed to, and is reliable. Ultimately, that will put their heart at ease and keep them happy and harmonious. So Sagittarius suns are born from November 22nd through December 21st. This is our zodiac sign ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is a planet that in astrology we associate with expansion, growth, optimism. It's a benefic, good energy. All right. So Sagittarius types, we've got a fire sign. I think of them as initially, you know, you've got the archer, which is the centaur, you know, shooting the arrow. I like to think of, I simplify it, it's just horses playing around, you know, horses playing in a field with each other. Sagittarius energy does have this carefree, spirited, natural, authentic, genuine playfulness to it. There is you know, they can be a little outspoken. They kind of say what they think many times. It can be crude even, or like a little lacking in refinement, so to speak. Like they're just really natural. But ultimately, Sagittarius is this personality type that's very optimistic. They're forward-leaning. They like to think about the journey. They like to think about the stories that they'll write on this journey. You know, they want their fire sign, so they need new fuel and new experiences. They traditionally, this ninth house is the Sagittarius house. This has to do with travel and the wisdom of the world around us. So you have people who a lot of times are interested in self-help or like improving themselves, being authentic and true to themselves, and not self-betraying and that kind of thing. In love and in romance with Sagittarius as well, because there's this natural approach they take to romance and sexuality. You can have someone who's quite libidinous in a sense, I suppose, but has a very healthy sex life. You know, someone who can be known as kind of like a player, but not like the way that maybe a Gemini or an air sign might be thought of as a player, where it's these mind games. It's more just they bounce around, you know, and they have multiple interests, and they can spread themselves a little bit thinly sometimes. So that Sagittarius is something they can be known for. Your high-functioning Sagittarius suns, you're going to have someone who's genuine, open, authentic. They are growth-oriented. They're optimistic. They like to try new things. There's generosity there, like you have with a Leo. They're laid back. They've got an easygoing naturalness to them, even if it's someone really important, like a celebrity or something, or someone who you might think is really attractive and might be quite full of themselves. They'll have like a self-deprecating manner to them. They'll get it. They'll know that they won't want to feel like they're better than you, so they'll want to bring themselves to the same level as you, because they want it to be fun and playful and have everybody, they've got this quality to them where they like to coach people and bring people up. So they don't want to bring you down. They want to, bring you up. They are thought of as the teacher, the guru, the guide. They enjoy spreading things around that they've learned, and they enjoy conversation. They've got a great sense of humor, and they give a lot of freedom in their relationships to their partner. They give it and they expect it in return. They have an optimism to them where they just trust that things will work out the way they're supposed to work out, and so they're open to that. Low-functioning Sagittarius. Now remember, this is when we're dealing with a pure Sagittarius. Let's say we had a perfectly pure Sagittarius. They can sometimes be overly optimistic They take risks. They'll take some risks and gambles that could be a little bit, in hindsight, they might think, I should maybe have thought through that a little bit before being so spontaneous and jumping into it. They can be very go with the flow, like to go with the flow, where they can, unless they've got a lot of earth. If you've got a Sagittarius with a lot of earth in their chart, like on their moon, or an earthy placement for that Sagittarius sun, you're going to have someone that's pretty, they can have a hard time finding direction and focus, because this is a mutable sign after all. They can be sort of dreamers and have all these different projects that they're like, oh, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and they can't just like focus it all in one direction. They're the opposite of Gemini. It's a Gemini issue as well. They can be a little bit commitment phobic, because to be a wild horse galloping around, if you are pinned up in a corral, you're no longer a wild horse galloping around. So in order to make that make it work for them, they have to feel like instead of it being a corral that they're partnered with, that they're partnered with another wild horse that they're galloping with, So you're both free to go your own directions, but, you're ultimately going to come back together, because these are horses. They're a herd animal. They need each other, okay? That's Sagittarius. They also can be quite flirtatious. It's that generosity of spirit that they have to them. They can they just really enjoy the interchange between the sexes. So that can make partners who are prone to being jealous a little bit insecure or unsure. And then lastly, I would say they can be flaky. They can overpromise and underdeliver. That's kind of a Sagittarius, or someone who's got a strong Jupiter in their chart. That can be something that can happen. And when they promise it, they really mean it. They think they can do it. It's just they're not realistic sometimes with what they can actually accomplish. So they can get themselves in a little bind. All right, Sagittarius is in love. They are natural, playful, ardent, passionate. They express their love very openly, authentically. They wear their heart on their sleeve. They're not complicated in their love nature. I dated a triple Sagittarius, for 2.5 years, and it was wonderful. They are really open with their expression of love, whether it's through physical affection or just words. And there is it's that optimism. It's like this belief that ultimately the universe is benefic or something, and that things will all work out all right, or that they're benefic and that their intentions are benefic. So they assume the partners are as well. So they have the optimism and this eagerness for the love romance to sort of blossom, but they're simple too. They're pretty simple in what they want in romance. They really just want good sex, go do fun things together, spontaneity. Stopping them from doing something will be like, they won't like that. And that includes, if they're making sexual advances at you, if you're just like, oh, I'm too tired, they'll be, boring. They won't appreciate that. Okay, Sagittarius expectations in love. They want a partner they can grow with. So this is everything from travel together, create a story together. If they've got a lot of water in their chart, they'll want to grow family together with you. They'll want to laugh. Like Sagittarius is more than any of the other signs, I think of laughter and jokes and just like crude humor. But they want a romance that is fun and playful and moving forward, and where there's a lot of freedom to roam about, as I said earlier. They also like a partner who is positive, has a good attitude, who is also forward-leaning. They don't want to have to clean up your messes. I mean, they will if they have to, but they really don't. They don't really love to have to do that. So they prefer a partner that's optimistic and happy and excitable, and ready for anything. So Sagittarius' biggest fear, it would be similar to Gemini, I would say. Except for it kind of comes from a different place. So Sagittarius is worried about being trapped. The thought of being stuck in a relationship where there's not the things that they need to feel passion, excited, and like their life is growing and moving forward. If they feel like they've got a partner who's possessive, controlling, demanding, jealous, those are huge turnoffs. Someone who's emotionally really clingy and needs a lot of validation from the Sagittarius, that's quite different from the way that they're built, and they will feel like, why are you making a big deal over that? So their biggest fear is that, being stuck with a wet blanket. That doesn't sound like that'd be fun for any of us, but for Sagittarius in particular, they don't like this idea of it's like those wild horses being stuck out in a rainstorm or something. They're just like, oh, get it. Where's the shelter I can hide under? Get me away from this rain, So you'll put out their fire quickly. So their fear is being trapped. let them know they have long, invisible reign that they can run as far in any direction as they want as long as they come back. Barn happy, remember the saying of a barn happy horse. Horses like to leave the barn, but they almost always, if you're riding horses, they gallop back to the barn rather than wanting to walk, because the barn's where it's warm and there's food and there's water and, you know, sugar cubes. So just keep that barn filled with all of those good things and your Sag will be running back to you. Okay. So Taurus and Sagittarius. These are really two very different people, but that doesn't mean that, you know, different people, different types fall in love all the time. Now, what would probably most likely be the attraction between these two would probably be their moons. So I would take a look at that before really analyzing the sun signs. You've got Taurus, who's, you know, really grounded and solid and earthy and stays in one place. And you've got Sagittarius, who wants to bound around and try different things and is very optimistic and a little ADD and all over the place. So, you know, they're a bit different from one another. So it's kind of like Taurus and Gemini. It's a similar kind of a pairing. Okay, now for long-term interaction between these two, Taurus needs things to be stable and consistent. Okay, Taurus needs to know what to expect, needs commitment and reliability from the partner. Sagittarius needs fun. Sagittarius, they need new adventures. They need new fun things that they're going and doing together. Sagittarius will maybe appreciate Taurus's groundedness and consistency, where Sagittarius is a little ADD. Perhaps Taurus is a little bit more organized, or at least a little bit more grounded and practical and earthy. And so there's something they share kind of as well. Both of them have sort of a rawness and a naturalness to them. So I really like this about the two. You know, there's an earthy practicality to Taurus, and Sagittarius has an authentic, genuine kind of a fiery, of the fire signs, they feel sort of the most kind of, to me, just authentic and real, which is sort of an earthy vibe. So they'll have that in common with one another. They'll have an authenticity and probably a relationship where they say what they think to one another. Conflict between these two, I sort of already went over. They have different basic fundamental ego needs. One needs things to be fixed and static, and the other needs things to be moving and dynamic. So if they can find a way to bridge that gap, they could overcome this conflict. Specific areas of harmony between these two. So harmony, like I said earlier, there's this naturalness to both of these signs, and authenticity and a realness. So that's a nice bit of harmony. And they can also give each other, because they are different. The earth and fire, when you mix these things together in nature, you see like hot lava. You know, you can heat up a pot, heat up a pan, you know, because metal's kind of like our earth. And so, I mean, there's like a productive quality to putting these two signs together. It makes the earth move, right? So when you heat something up, it makes the molecules vibrate quicker. So fire does that, and it also, earth holds the heat of the fire. So, you know, like laying on concrete on a summer evening when it's all warm on your back. So there's this nice, it could give Sagittarius some longevity to the relationship, and give them some staying power if you've got enough moon. The moons need to be really happy for this one to work. Other people might see this relationship as sort of a temporary one, or, you know, geez, let's see how long it'll take before Sagittarius is off, you know, cavorting somewhere else. Or let's see how long. I mean, Taurus is going to probably be the one to kind of stick it out more so than the Sagittarius. But yeah, people will see this as a kind of an interesting coupling, and they'll be wondering when the other shoe will drop, perhaps. But people don't always know what they're talking about, so.